Here we are again. Hello everybody. Hello everybody. So Nyakubega will continue on structure and systems. As I've said before, the development of certain structures or the development of certain systems that exist that me and you know of, that the average me and you are pretty much inspired by. So for quite some time now, I've been pretty much focused and enticed on the idea of systems and structures. And one in particular, some of the structures or systems that have been built, it's the MOTSEPE Foundation. Foundation Learn has been doing some of the most amazing things that I know of, or that I've seen, or that I've researched. And recently, I must say this, and I should share this. So I think from way back, but through research that I did, they've been doing this since 2002. So since 2004, by what their website provide me with the information relating to what I'm about to share right now. Gucci, since 2004, Motsepe Foundation has been involved in football, school football to be more precise. And this is arguably one of the best tournaments that I've played since I've I've been in school. One of the best school football tournaments I've had to participate in, and I must say how that tournament was handled, how everything else for that matter was handled. It was really professional, and that would tell you how much of personal that foundation invests in, and how much of build on structures or ongoing structures that foundation invest in, given the fact that for so many years, I think knowledge and development has been a huge part of what defines them as the foundation, or a huge part of of aspects that they would love to address and pretty much spread their message across through many different involved stakeholders or many different heads and individuals. So recently they've just announced that the K Motsepe school tournament will resume in not so long, and now it has changed to K Motsepe Schools Championship. So every school can register, and then there are three divisions, two for boys and one for girls. So it's under 19 boys, and under 14 boys, as well as under 14 girls. So every school can register to participate in that tournament. And you have to understand this thing, right? Uguti, having this tournament, or having this I'm searching for the right word now, but it seems to escape me. Like, having this tournament says a lot, especially to a kid from Ekasi, especially to a kid who's a sports enthusiast, because I'm still that kid. I'm still that kid. I still have that child in me that loves sports, who's a sports enthusiast. I think it means so much, especially when it comes to having to learn how certain things are actually handled, how certain structures or systems are built over time. Because that's one thing that has inspired me, or has gotten me fascinated by this foundation, the Motsepe Foundation. The fact that Actually, let me. Sorry about that. I have a bit of a flu. Let me share this with you. So yesterday I had this conversation with a friend of mine. So I was like, look, man, we're talking about soccer. I was like, okay, with the conversation that we're having, it was all about systems and structures, certain teams that are performing well, certain teams that have money, and certain teams that don't have money, or certain teams that they splash on money, and certain teams that don't splash on money. So I was like, okay, let's go back now to structures and systems. If you had to change one thing, if you had to change one thing, or if you had to change some of the things, when you look at the motherboard of soccer, which is SAFA, and going down to other frameworks or other sub boards within that motherboard, which is SAFA, what is it that you change? So the young giant was like, look, man, we have to get the basics right. Get the basics right. So that means we bring back school football, um, and then more sponsorship. We introduce more sponsorship, especially to lower leagues, and the reasons into this as well. And the other one as well was to, I forgot the third one, but let me just touch on the first one, which is bring back school football to schools. Because by my understanding or by my research that I've done, Guti, football in South Africa entirely, if you look back in your maybe 70s or even 80s, people that actually competed or people that were part of teams, it was abantwana besikolo, it was school kids. These teams were formed by school kids. All these other teams were formed by school kids, be it Orlando Pirates, which was Sea Robbers by that time, if I'm not mistaken, and Kaizer Chiefs. All those teams, their formation, it was through schools. So if you can get that basic right, and I think the success that we need, or the success that we expect, especially when it comes to the developmental part of sports, or the developmental part of being a professional athlete, that basic is so much important, because it plays so much into one's kid, or it plays so much into one's mind, given the fact that these days, you can have the talent, have everything else, but the psychological part as well is so much important, so much important that it survives you and even maintains you as a professional athlete. So that part, bringing back school football back to school, it's one thing. It's one thing. Given the fact that these days when you go to the hood, go ekasi, or go in the townships, you find that school football or school tournaments or school sports are actually neglected, and there's so many reasons why. Infrastructure, it's not there. Resources are not there. Bad facilities, or I mean, like, entirely the resources and the better infrastructure, it's not there. Hence you'd find Gucci, school sports or sports in school is neglected due to those things. So the fact that the MOTSEPE Foundation is bringing that back, and the fact that winners of those competition across those different divisions will earn their schools, those prizes, where you'd find better improvement of infrastructure will be dealt with if you're a winner, of course, and providing resources, of course, to the school, and again having to have those kids being exposed into some other avenues apart from sport alone, or being an engager in that sport. So really, I'm excited with this. I'm excited with this competition, and the fact that every other school will have a chance, or every other school will have a chance to compete in this tournament that is being developed and sponsored by the MOTSEPE Foundation, as well as their sponsors or partners. It's really something that is good. Really something that is good, especially for the talent in the hood, talent emakasana, because there's so much talent. And I think, when I've mentioned infrastructure, when I've mentioned resources or facilities, I think that as well can help when it comes to art or the creative aspect that any other township girl or boy has, because having to improve those facilities or bringing resources and making or bettering some of the facilities, I think it could have a plus or a positive impact, especially when it comes, as I've said, to the creative side of art, where you'd find we now have a piano in school, we now have drums in school, we now have guitars in school, we now have a hall, a school hall where there can be engagements that are done in that. We could have computer labs and stuff like that, because I mean, yeah, this tournament will actually do wonders for schools and do wonders for those kids as well. Yes, and yes, man, and the fact that this foundation has been doing pretty much a lot, especially when coming into football in the South African sphere, or in the sub Southern Africa part or region. It's really, really, really something that is important. And going back to the points that I've mentioned, second point, which is bringing back more sponsorships into lower divisions. So that was one aspect that was mentioned. Part of that, Mageisho, or part of his reasons were, look, uh, when you bring more sponsorship. So what I'm doing right now, I'm trying to summarize everything that he said. So his point was, look, when you bring everything back, or I mean, when you bring a lot of sponsorship, a lot of sponsorship into lower division leagues, what we're actually doing is you create more professionalism into those players, whether it's boys or whether it's female or female. You bring a lot of professionalism, and again, on the professionalism aspect, even the officiating part as well. Like, think of it. This is the example that he said. Uguchi, if I'm a ref, I'm officiating a certain match, and I'm getting paid like 250 or 200 per game. And there's this other team that comes and say, you know what? If you could fix this match for us, we could give you like 5,000. I mean, don't you think you'd be enticed to take that money, that 5,000? And chances are you'd fall into that trap and take that money, because you don't want to be. Take for instance, you travel from Soweto to Pretoria, and you get paid. Sorry, you get paid 200 bucks. Do you understand that 200 bucks iphelele endleleni? So that's transport money from Pretoria back to Soweto. And we have to still maybe pay back someone that you still owe, because you didn't have money to go to the game and be a referee there. So can you see that money just ended on on transportation fare alone? So more sponsorship, it means now better professionalism from both players as well as officials. And another aspect as well that he mentioned on this, having more leagues. I mean, having more sponsorship into these lower division leagues. It's um, I think this part maybe touches on professionalism as well. Is the fact that you'd find that there are guys that play in these lower professional divisions, where you find this guy plays on Thursday, a league, and then the other day he's back to Ekasi, back in the township, playing, gambling, and on that gambling, totally injured, gets injured, and now he has to fake and take that injury back to his team. And now, can you see, Witty? That continues, that cycle continues over and over because chances are maybe they're not getting paid well. Hence, this guy goes on and on from one team to the other, one team to the other, trying to make money. Maybe if I'll play 3 games today, maybe I could make 1.5k, 1.5k. Or if I play 2 or 3 games, I could make like 600 a day. At least that counts for something. But if our lower division leagues had more sponsorships, this would have been avoided, and more professionalism, would have clicked in and developed. So yeah. But other than that, kudos to the MOTSEPE Foundation and the good work that they've done, the good structures and the systems that we can learn from. And again, so this was my take with the question that I've posed to this gent of mine, which is, if you put if you had to change everything in the system, what is it? So my point was personal, the people that are doing the job, because we have to understand that between you, or between where you are and where you want to see yourself in, there's a person in between that, or there are people in between that as well. So if that is done well, or not even done well, but if that it's managed well, meaning having the right people or having the right personnel in place, then yeah, the groundwork or the basics would have been figured out, or the groundwork, the basics would have been addressed well, so that we have better professionals and better athletes that can compete in the global scale competitively. So not just in J, but competing, you know. So yeah. And this was part of me just sharing and having to develop my skill into engaging with the camera, and having to share my bit of what I think we could learn, or I could learn, from some of the systems that have been built, some of the structures that have been built as well. So yeah, don't forget to do the right thing down there. Yeah, down there. Thanks.